Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. First of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope you guys had a good festive season and you entered the new year nicely with your families and intact and ready for the new year. So, as per New Year, I take it that everyone is setting resolutions, making goals for the new year. We're excited, we are ready to go for it, and we're ready to better our lives in all aspects. And so the message that I had today, is in light of that. It's in light of setting New Year's resolutions and the goals that we have set for ourselves in the new year. I was just thinking that, with setting goals in the new year, it can also bring anxiety when, in the midst of the year, when the year is going and you kind of not seeing results in the goals that you've set. So you will maybe have anxiety, you will start worrying, you can even, some people may even fall into depression. So I just thought that I just need to say something regarding to that. And also God gave me something in my heart to share. He has placed it in my heart. And so I just want to share in light of that. I was reading 1 Corinthians 7, which is, I know it says the principles for marriage, but I feel like this particular scripture pertains to everything in our lives, like everything, every goal, everything we'd love to achieve in our lives. It speaks to that. And so the scripture is from verse 17. Only let each person lead the life that the Lord has assigned to him and to which God has called him. And then verse 20 says, each one should remain in the condition in which he was called. Were you a slave when called? Do not be concerned about it. But if you can gain freedom, avail yourself to the opportunity. And then it says, so brothers, in whatever condition each was called, there let him remain with God. So in light of that, I just feel like Paul here is referring to all situations, not just marriage, in the sense that he uses here an example of slavery. Like if you were a slave when you were called, do not be concerned about it, but if you can gain your freedom. I'll use the example of when I was making my own understanding. I'll use the example of unemployment. Say you are unemployed currently, and obviously your goal for the year is to get a job, to get employed. Paul is calling people here to say, do not be concerned about your current unemployed situation, your current situation of unemployment. Do not be concerned about it. Instead, just focus on God, do not be concerned. Do not constantly worry and consume yourself about getting out of that situation. Do not constantly fill your mind of how you can get out of the unemployment, how you can get a job. Of course, work on it, like it says here, if the opportunity avails itself for you to be employed, take the opportunity, meaning that, you can work on getting employed, apply for a job, whatever, but that should not be what consumes your mind. So it says that in whatever condition each was called, there let him remain with God. Remain in your unemployment with God, meaning focus on God, look to God. Do not be consumed about your position. And because firstly, when you are consumed about that position of your unemployment, that breeds anxiety. You are firstly inviting anxiety into your life. You will be anxious about that. You will be depressed. You will constantly be always thinking about that, and it will cause you anxiety. You will not have peace. Secondly, you will be idolizing your situation. You do not idolize. We're not supposed to be idolizing anything. Remember, everything you put your mind to becomes your idol. So you shouldn't be putting, instead, that's why we are called to remain within that position with God. Focus on God and not idolize that situation. Put all your focus in Christ, and God will make things happen for you. Honestly, we do not need to worry about anything. Remember, God says that in everything, by prayer and supplication, make your request known to God. So just make your request known to God. Let God know what you currently want, and do your part to work in order to get what you've been praying for. But ultimately, do not focus on it. Do not let it consume you. Focus on God. And thirdly, if you constantly focus on that situation, you will miss out on the lesson that God is trying to teach you in that current circumstance. You will miss out on the process. You need to trust the process. Otherwise, do not dodge the process by wanting to get out of the situation. Remember, none of our circumstances are meaningless. God has a purpose for everything. So even in your valley, even in your wilderness, even in your unfortunate circumstances, there's a lesson there. It has a purpose. God has a purpose for it. So when you always focus to get to the other side, you miss out on the lesson that God is trying to teach you. I was reminded here about, in fact, God reminded me last night about the scripture in Acts 16, I think, where Paul and Silas were imprisoned, I think, in Rome, and they were beaten down really severely. They had wounds all over their bodies, and then they were taken to prison in Rome. And when they were in prison, in their prison cells, instead of, crying about being in prison and, being worried about that and being in distress and everything, they were just praying to God. They were looking to God. They were not too consumed about getting out of prison, but they looked to God, they were praying to God, and they were singing the praises of God. They were singing God's praises. Imagine you are wounded, your body is wounded, and you are being persecuted and all sorts of things, but you sing God's praises, meaning that you focus on God, you look to God and not in your current situations. And what did God do when Paul and Silas were doing that? He broke down the walls of the prisons, like he caused an earthquake, the prison walls were broken down, and Paul and Silas were able to be set free. So I feel like that's what God is going to do with your situation this year. If you focus on God, he is going to break down the walls of your prison. He is going to set you free from your bondage, whatever it is, your unemployment. If you may be single and you want to get married, he will break down, but yours is to focus on him. Yours is to be like Paul and Silas and just sing God's praises, and look to God and pray to God, and God will take care of everything else. Ours, guys, is to look to God and not on our situations. So I just think that's the message that I wanted to bring to you guys in the new year. Do not be anxious. Don't breed anxiety. Seek first the kingdom. I am a strong believer, a firm believer in that scripture. Ours is to seek the kingdom and his righteousness, and God will take care of everything, and all other things will be added to us. But our main focus, our focus in life, we are to seek the kingdom, and that is all. And everything else is up to God. So let us not cause ourselves worries. Let us not idolize our goals. Let us not look to skipping the process that God is trying to take us through. Let us not miss out on the lessons that God is trying to teach us. Let us just look to God, and God will break free the walls of our lives. God will break free the walls that are keeping us in bondage, and we will be set free if we look to God. So that's the message that I just wanted to pass over to you guys. Anyway, guys, I pray that you have a good new year, and I hope that everyone has had a good one so far. And remember, focus on God. Thank you guys for watching, and I pray I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.